everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Inside Voice podcast. Hope you're doing well. Hope wherever you are at, you are staying cool because it is summertime. Last week we talked about how much I despise summer. That wasn't like the premise of the entire episode, but it did come up in conversation. I'm trying really hard to enjoy this season, embrace the heat, recognize that this is just a part of life, and I can either walk in it or be miserable, and I'm trying to walk in it. So what I've been trying to do is just get outside more. Not in the super hot of the day, but I've been doing things called, I call them hot walks, where it is warmer outside than I would like, and I just go for a walk, and I allow myself to sweat, and I tell myself it's good for me. There are benefits to that if I'm walking around trees. So I learned that there's always been this idea that I've had in my mind that like it's good to be around nature, it's good to be outside, it's good to be, breathe fresh air, touch grass, all that stuff. That's how I grew up, and I miss it. And there's countless studies to talk about like why it's good to be outside, to get sunlight, to touch a tree, all that jazz. But I started reading a little bit about forest bathing. Have you heard this? Basically, it's this idea that we receive like energy from trees. We receive like, what do they call it? Okay, so I have to look at my phone and read this to you. I don't know how to pronounce this. Phytoncides? Sure. It's an airborne antimicrobial compound released by the tree that we actually, like our bodies take it and turn it into like a boost for our immune system. Like there are benefits to being out in nature. There are benefits to being around trees, and boosting your immune system is such a big part of that. Also factor in that like you might be outside in the sun and getting some vitamin D. I mean, that's definitely a boost to your immune system as well. Hello. These are just things that I tell myself to like actually get outside and not hide indoors all summer long. I'll be outside plenty in the fall. Don't get me wrong. Summertime's a little tough for me. But the good news is being out in nature is really good for us. So if you have an opportunity to step outside, even if you live in a very urban area, find a tree somewhere, find a park, get a house plant, something. I feel like it's all good. So it's a little bit of our good news. The world and being out in it, nature and God's creation, being out in it, good for us. He knew that when he made us. So we are continuing our series here about lies that we tell ourselves, things that pop up in our mind that we internalize, things that we allow to take root in our minds that end up being really bad for us. We like to use this analogy that I've heard countless times from so many different people. Your brain is a train station. Trains are coming in constantly. You can choose to get on the train or not. The trains are your thoughts. So you can choose to jump on a thought and take it go with it wherever it's going, or you can choose to let it leave the station, never to come back, hopefully. And then the thoughts that are good, those are the trains that you want to take. You want to go to the destination that they are headed toward. So just keeping that in mind, being very aware and very mindful of what we're thinking about, being very mindful of what's on our minds. The more you think about things, the easier it is for your brain to bring that up in the future. So you want to make sure that you're training your brain to use good, to use facts, to use truth, rather than all this mess and trash that typically comes into our mind for so many reasons. And I do believe that your mind is a battlefield for spiritual warfare, and the enemy loves to throw things in there that are negative, and you have to be able to combat those thoughts with truth and with good. So just, keeping that in mind as we move forward. We're looking at some of the biggest lies that tend to affect all of us. I feel like these are the most general lies that typically end up in our minds that we need to be very cognizant of. And so last week, the lie was, I'll be happy when blank. And you filled in the blank with whatever that is. It was very much a let's be present. Let's focus on our life now. Let's not be so wrapped up in a finish line that we forget to run our race. You know what I mean? And today, the lie that I want to tackle, the one that I want to take out, is we're kind of last week I feel like was such an easy one. It's an easy lie. It's easy to get out of. We're gonna get progressively the ideas, the concepts are going to get progressively more difficult as we move through. So this one, I feel like a lot of us think it's going to be a little harder for us to get out of it, especially this day and age. The lie is they're all judging me. You've heard this before. You've thought this before. Everybody's judging me. You determine who they is. It could be your family. It could be your friends. It could be your community. It could be everyone on social media. You determine who they is, but you have had this thought before of they're judging me. And maybe it's not that wording for you. I do think that these lies come in many different shapes and sizes, many different forms. I do believe that the enemy loves to throw these little sayings at us in different ways just to see what bait we're going to go after and what we're going to latch on to. So other versions may be things like, I look so dumb. What will they think of me? They'll see me differently in the future if this. They'll treat me differently if this. If I do this, if I say this, if I think this, if I act on this, if I pursue this, whatever it may be. We're so worried about what other people are going to think about our life that we forget it's not their life. It is our life. It is our walk with God. It is our journey on this earth. It is our calling. It is our mission. It is our assignment, not theirs. They don't have to get it. They don't have to understand it. As long as you and God are good, we good. You know what I mean? And this is so difficult, especially with social media. I have found so much joy in just posting what I want on social media and not worrying. I mean, it's nice to get likes. It's nice to get views. It's nice to gain followers because I feel like I'm building community, and that can only benefit things that I want to do, like this podcast and writing a book, to kind of generate an audience that is ready for the stuff that I'm hopefully putting out there. But I have been having so much fun just being silly and chasing after trends and coming up with things that I just think are fun. And granted, like some of them fall flat, some of them have taken off. But I have learned in that process that it's a joy to be able to have fun and to treat my social media, my social media, like exactly that, my social media, like being able to do what I want to do on social media, stuff that just brings me joy. And it's exciting to know that like some of the silly stuff that I've posted, like I remember doing a video during the World Cup of like flopping like the players. That was so fun for me to make, and it was fun to like see other people react to it. But again, it was just something that like I wanted to do. And granted, I have the same thoughts that everybody else does. Like, what if this is stupid? What if everybody thinks I'm stupid? What if they make horrible comments? What if it doesn't get any views? What if it doesn't get any likes? What if nobody shares it? What if it doesn't have the impact that I thought it was going to have? And I have thoughts of even, it's interesting to me. I've always felt like I don't care so much what strangers think, because like they're strangers, right? I care more about what the people that are around me think, like my family. I value what my husband thinks about me. I value what my closest friends think about me and what my grandmother thinks about me, Like it's valuable to me because it's like those people I care about, and I value their opinion and I trust them, Maybe not everybody in my family, maybe not all of my friends, but for the most part, But at the end of the day, it's like I've been having so much fun doing it, so I'm not going to stop. If they have an issue with it, they can block me, they can mute me, they can unfollow me. I don't care. Now, if my husband blocks me, mutes me, and unfollows me, we might have a little bit of an issue. I'm just putting it out there because he is my partner and he's supposed to support me, right? But ultimately, like just stepping out and just enjoying life. Like we hold ourselves back from that because we're so afraid of the commentary and the chatter and the opinions that are going to come in. You know what I mean? Or even straight up hate, people just absolutely just tearing us down, saying you're awful, you're terrible, just saying terrible things about us when we feel like we're stepping into something that we're supposed to be stepping into. I mean, I think about even with this podcast, there's been chatter in people that I know and people that I don't know. And quite frankly, like, I'm tired of caring about it. First of all, I'm too old to care about it. Like, I am mid to late 30s, like, get out of here. But also, it's just, it's one of those things that I feel like this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. Do I think it's perfect? No. Does it look as fancy and as wonderful as like a Mel Robbins podcast or like a Tony Robbins thing? Is it as eloquent and well thought out and put together like that? No. Is it as well researched as that? No. But I'm feeling good about it because I feel like I'm stepping into something that God has asked me to do, and we'll move through it as we move through it, and I'm trusting him to lead and guide me. And I think that's ultimately where this confidence has to come from. It has to come from our trust in the Lord. Like, he has to be our compass. He has to direct us. He has to, direct our paths and show us where we're going. And I think we have to be so focused on him that we don't even hear what's happening around us. We can't even see what's happening around us. I think about horses with the blinders on the side. Those blinders are on the side so they don't get distracted by what's happening in their peripheral vision. They're focused on what's in front of them. And we're called to put Christ in front of us. We're called to put God before us and chase after him with all of our heart, soul, and mind. And it's like we have to be so focused on that we don't get distracted. We don't hear the chatter. We don't crumble or take a step back or second guess ourselves simply because of the people around us, the haters, even the people that love us and may have the best of intentions, but they're holding us back from pursuing what God has called us to do. We have to be confident enough to step into that and not think so much about like, ooh, what is this person going to think? Can I just say this? On the other side of that, we have to be that for somebody else. Like, let's say your spouse or your best friend comes to you and they're like, I really feel like God is calling me to do this. And maybe they've shown you in scripture, they've prayed about it, you've prayed about it, you know that they're on the path that they need to go. Don't be that person that holds them back. Don't be that person that's like, oh, are you sure? Oh, that's what you're doing? Nobody that we know of has done that before. Oh, that's a little scary. You know what I mean? I think about the first time that I started like working out seriously. And I was probably like a year in, maybe. I think I'd gone from random workouts to doing CrossFit. And it was like so many people, maybe not so many people, but there were people in my life that good intentions, people that didn't even work out themselves, telling me like, "Ooh, you should be really careful. Ooh, you might get hurt doing that. Oh, are you sure you're not pushing it too much?" And I get best of intentions. Like, of course I don't want to get hurt. Of course I don't want to throw my back out. Of course, like, I don't want to injure my knees. Like, of course, absolutely. I don't want to push myself to a point that is dangerous. But it was almost like they were so insecure about where they were. I'm so sorry if if I'm making you feel bad, but almost it's like sometimes you hear the insecurities of other people come out in this way. You know what I mean? Like maybe they feel like they're not pursuing what they should, or maybe they feel like they should be doing what you're doing, but they're not, and so they feel a certain way about it. So now they have to voice an opinion that again is rooted in something good and comes from a good place, and it is because they love you, but it also is meant to make them feel better. And ultimately it makes you second guess yourself or doubt yourself, and it's like, gotta shake that stuff off, but like you don't want to be that person for someone else. Don't be the one that is hating on somebody or questioning them to a point where it's like you're not helping them chase after what God has for them. You're not helping them be who they are, who God has made them to be, because you're second guessing yourself. You know what I mean? So this works both ways. Like you don't want to be so concerned about what other people think, but also don't be one of those thinkers. Don't be one of those haters out there. You know what I mean? That is projecting your insecurities on somebody else. Just a side note, we had to chase that rabbit trail just for a second. But this idea of they're judging me, I look dumb, they'll think of me differently, all that. where does it come from? Where is it rooted? Where are the origins of this lie? I think oftentimes it can come from false expectations that have been set on you or by another person, or maybe false expectations that you have put on yourself. We see so much of other people doing things on social media or other people succeeding online or around us, and it can make us feel a certain way about ourselves. I have had doubts about this podcast because, hello, it's not a novel concept. People have done this countless times. There are countless people all doing it right now and posting wonderfully, beautifully curated, well lit, perfect studio guest appearances. All that. There are people that are doing this on a totally different level, and kudos to them. But I'm at where I'm at. You know what I mean? We can compare ourselves so much to other people that we ultimately think they're going to judge us if we step out in faith and try to do the thing that we think we're supposed to do. This idea of people judging or thinking differently about us, I think it's also rooted in perfectionism. Because we think if we can't do it perfectly, if we can't be at the finish line at the beginning, if our finish line can't be our starting line, like why start? We ultimately, I think, judge ourselves before anybody else has an opportunity to do it. I think that's why we don't start in the first place. You know, we tell ourselves it's because we're afraid of what other people are going to think, but I think also like we're afraid of what we're going to think of ourselves. We're already judging ourselves, so we're not even going to start because then we don't have to be disappointed down the road. You know what I mean? And this idea of trying to appease everybody and get likes and get affirmation from others, it just stems from this idea of we need to fit in. We need acceptance. We need to be pleasing to other people. And ultimately, we believe with this lie of they're judging me or they're thinking differently about me if I go through with this and if I try this, we ultimately start to believe that acceptance is success. Support from other people is achievement. Having a certain number of followers gives us a certain status in the world. Can I just tell you something? Like, this is not me bragging. I just want to be real with you. I had a video on Facebook that did really well on my Miss Radio Jess page. Shameless plug. It did really, really well. And it exponentially boosted my followers on Facebook. But I will tell you right now, just because you have a lot of followers doesn't mean you have a community, doesn't mean you have an engaged audience. You know, you see that number and you're like, wow, there's so many people that follow this page. But then it's like, but what are they actually doing? You know, and I was talking to my husband about that. I was like, everybody wants to have that viral moment, but then it's like, it's so fleeting that it's like, what next? You know? And here I thought, oh, this is it. I've made it. Everything I post now is just going to be gravy. Not so much. Like, some people see a funny video and they follow for the heck of it, and then that's it. You know, they forget about you. But ultimately, we see followers or likes or having plans on the weekend or wearing a certain outfit or a certain label, driving a certain car. You know, we see that as success. We see that as acceptance because the world sees that as success and acceptance. But I'm going to tell you right now, even our own Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, was rejected. Yeah, he had followers, but ultimately, like, they hung him on a cross, you know? Like, the world hung him on a cross. He was a perfect man. He was our Savior. He was the Messiah. He was the one we had been waiting for and the one that gives us life and life abundantly. And he's the one that gives us access to the Father. Like, he's the man, right? And they still rejected him and they still killed him. The world did. So why are you so afraid of posting something on social media and Susan down the street or Karen next door is like, ew, that's so cringe? Or these younger kids, you know, I feel like the younger generation, they all have names that end in Lee or E. Thinking about my cousin's kids too. like Ainsley or Bailey or, Kylie. I'm trying not to name names of people, of kids that I know from my friends and my family, but like the ease of the world. Like, who cares if they think you're cringe? Who cares if they don't understand what you're doing, or if you're too old to be doing videos like that on social media? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, they're not the ones that are going to pay your bills. They're not the ones that are going to, help you further the kingdom or pursue what God has for you. Like, they're just not. And that's okay. Who cares? Move on. They'll be like, you got God. What else do you need? Right? I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. I just find myself like, and I know this comes with age, and I know it also comes from the fact that I'm from a generation that remembers the world before social media, before this constant pressure to be on, to be perfect, to be curated, to even be perfect in your flaws. Like, before that was really a big thing. I just come from this wonderful generation that understands that. Like, I'm starting to just not care anymore. Because, like we talked about last week, so much of what we put value in, like it says in Ecclesiastes, is just vanity and grasping for the wind. Like, it's meaningless. So we need to pursue what matters, and chasing after what God has for us is what matters. Trying to appease the masses, forget about it. Who cares? And we get a lot of confirmation of this lie, the lie of they're judging me. They'll see me differently. What will they think about me? That kind of stuff. Putting ourselves under a microscope. We get that confirmation, when family doesn't show up. What is this thing that I've seen on social media lately? Maybe you've seen it too, where it's like the people that love and support you, it's like suddenly when you start getting the stuff that you start posting on social media and you start seeing success with it. Let's say you have a viral video, you gain 10, 20,000 followers in a week. Like, the people closest to you, the people that are supposed to support you, oftentimes are the ones that are like, okay, I don't get it. Or they're jealous, or they're hateful, or they don't show up, like, you need them to be there for you. You need them to like your videos and share your content and share your stuff. You need them to leave reviews and stuff like that, and they don't show up for you. Like, that's frustrating. So yeah, it can feel like you're being judged even by the people closest to you because they're not showing up for you. It's confirmed, this lie, when friends tear you down, or they offer up concern for you, but it's not actual concern. It's just bitterness and resentment coming out. This lie of being judged and not being understood and not being accepted, gets confirmed when you post something and it doesn't get the views that you want, or it doesn't get the likes that you want. And I'm very sympathetic to those that are building a business on social media. Like, your livelihood depends on engagement and followers and good analytics and brand deals and stuff like that. I am sympathetic towards that. I get it. Like, you need that engagement, and it can be really tough to feel like you're doing well, you're succeeding, you're running your race for the Lord well, when you're not getting that on social media. So yeah, the lie gets confirmed, and some people are just straight up mean, some people just straight up judge you. And so it's easy for that lie of feeling like you're judged to be confirmed when the comments that are coming in are just ugly and they're just hateful. And you're like, why? Like, who did this help? Like, what did this comment gain for you or for anybody else? You know what I mean? Like, why did this come out of your little fingers tapping on that keyboard? Why did this even come into your mind and you thought, oh, this is a good thing to post? You know what I mean? Our brand, I work for Town Square Media, and I host Taste of Country weekend, and our social media, we post a lot of stuff on socials. The comments that we get, we got 2 million people on this page. And sometimes I'm like, what were you hoping to get out of this? What did you think was going to be beneficial by leaving this comment? You know what I mean? It's just like, people can just be ruthless on social media because they feel like they're entitled to do it. And that's a conversation for another day. But it confirms that lie of I'm being judged and I'm stupid and I'm not good enough and I shouldn't be doing this and I should just play small when we should be playing big for the kingdom of God every single day. What do we have to lose? We don't. We've already gotten everything to gain with Christ. You know what I mean? It was Paul that said to live as Christ and to die as gain. And I feel like in a modern day version of that, yes, that still applies, but also it's like to step into what God has called us to do is to live and to even be criticized and put down for chasing after what we have tried to do for the Lord, to be to have people just throw negativity at what our calling is. It's like I feel like that's almost gain. It's like, okay, like I'm pushing that kingdom. I'm furthering God's kingdom, and I'm pushing against the kingdom of darkness as well. And like, yeah, I'm doing it because I can feel the pushback from it. You know what I mean? Like there's almost like this righteous confidence that we get when we're pursuing what God has for us, and there might be some adversity. There are so many pastors that I've heard that say something along the lines of like, the enemy doesn't have to come after you if you're not doing anything, but if you're out there and you're blazing a trail and you're furthering the kingdom and you are actively doing what God has asked you to do, suddenly the enemy's like, oh no, we have to do something about this. So yeah, there's going to be pushback, yeah, there's going to be hard times, yeah, there's going to be these doubtful thoughts that come into your mind. So how do we dismantle this lie of everybody's judging me? I think, we've known this since we were kids. We know that people can be mean, but ultimately we know that people don't think about us nearly as much as we think they do. And the reason why is because they're thinking about themselves. And even you thinking that Susie down the road is judging me is you thinking about yourself. Suddenly you're thinking about, how am I coming across? What do I look like? How does this sound? Like you're second guessing yourself so much that you're projecting that on that person. They might not even be thinking about you. Again, there's a very good chance, I would say 90% of the time, they're not thinking about you because they are so consumed with themselves. They're so consumed with how they're coming across and how they sound and how they look and blah, blah, blah. I mean, like we are so consumed with ourselves, and social media doesn't make that any better. But ultimately, like any judgment, I feel like comes from a lack in them, I've thought about this myself. And I think the Lord's been challenging me on this. When I start to judge somebody else, or when I find myself getting critical of somebody else, I think of women in my industry. Like women in radio right now are crushing it. And there are so many talented women out there that are doing radio, doing broadcast, and doing it so well. I think of Angie Ward and Katie Neal and Anya Hammer and Macy Banks and Kelly Ford. Like there are good women out there that are not just doing radio, but like they're leading these shows and they're winning these big awards and they're crushing it right now. And I find myself, as much as I admire them for what they're doing, I find myself judging them. I find myself getting critical of them. They're wonderful people, by the way. But I find myself doing that, and it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me. It has everything to do with me being jealous, for me feeling insecure, for me feeling inadequate, for me feeling like I made mistakes that I'm in my past and made mistakes in my career that maybe didn't get me to where I want to be ultimately. And they've got it all figured out, and it's also wonderful and great for them. But that's not the case. Like they're just good at what they do, and I am too. But me judging them is simply because I'm feeling and I've created a lack within me. It's not even that there is a lack. It's just I've decided that I'm missing something that they have, that I'm missing something that is keeping me from living the perfect life that I assume that they're living. You know what I mean? Like oftentimes when we judge others, it's because there's a lack that we have within us, that we have assumed is in us, whether it's there or not. And so I want you to remember that on the opposite side as well. We talk about not judging people, but also don't assume that people are judging you because you're doing something bad, or judging you because you're terrible or awful or annoying or inadequate, or you're bad at your job, or you're not a good mom, or whatever it is, oftentimes they're critical of you because of what they feel like they lack. So again, go do your thing. Go enjoy your life. Go chase after what God has for you, and forget about their opinions. Forget about their criticisms. Forget about what they may or may not be thinking. Your fear of the crowd is ultimately holding you back from the abundant life that God has for you. I find myself thinking about this a lot. This abundant life that Christ came and died for us to have, died for us to live out. I think that these negative thoughts that come into our mind, these lies that come into our mind, are ultimately robbing us of the life that we should be living, of the walk and the closeness that we should have with God. Your fear of family, friends, even your spouse is really stunting your growth. I do think about this sometimes with my husband. And again, this is because of a lack that I have within me. This is because of a inadequacy or a feeling of not being good enough that is deeply rooted in me from my childhood, and is for so many other people, that I can think that my husband's judging me when he's not. My husband's so supportive. He has never been critical or criticized me for my career choice, for wanting to do a podcast, for wanting to write a book. Like, he has been such a supporter in so many ways with these crazy ideas that I have, with these things that I feel like God is calling me to do, but I allow myself to think that he's judging me when he's not. I allow myself to think that my friends and my family are judging me, or, ooh, what are they going to think? Or, oh, I hope they don't bring this up at the Thanksgiving table, or over the holidays and make fun of me. Like, at the end of the day, even if they do, who cares, But I just want to remind you, like, don't let the fear of what those people think, even the people that are closest to you, hold you back. I think even as parents, we do this. I'm not a parent, but I would assume that there's got to be this thought of, what if my kid thinks I'm an idiot? What if my kid judges me? What if I fail and my kid sees it, and then suddenly, like, it messes with their growth, I think that sometimes we put that fear of judgment even on our children, and I would encourage you to think about that and ask yourself if that's what you're doing. I mean, ultimately, like, who you are, who God has made you to be, is begging to be let out. And that is what this podcast is all about. It is the Inside Voice podcast. It is figuring out who God has made you to be, who God designed you, the beautiful voice and the beautiful person that he planted inside of you. Like, you got to let that person out. Stop trying to live based on, like, the bumpers of other people. Like, I think about a bowling ball going down the lane, like, in a good game of bowling, that ball has the perfect spin on it. It has the perfect speed. It's going down the right part of the lane, and it's going to be a strike, like, that's what you want ultimately. And I think about, like, how chaotic it looks, and unhinged it looks when you've got the bumpers up and you think that's helping you, right? And the ball goes down, and, like, I think about kids bowling, and now it just bounces off the bumpers. And by the time it gets to the end of the lane, it's like, it's so weak from all the energy that it expelled, hitting this bumper and hitting that bumper and losing this energy and losing that energy. By the time it gets to the pins, it almost bounces off the pins, It's got nothing left because it's constantly going down and being like, oh, they don't like this, and oh, they don't like that, and oh gosh, I got hit over here, oh, I got put down over here. And it's like, you're missing the point. The point was for you to go freely down this lane and hit those pins and knock them down. But you were so afraid of what everybody was thinking, and you thought that those opinions and those thoughts were going to help you stay in your lane and help you stay where you needed to be. But ultimately, they're just robbing you of your power. They're taking away your speed and your velocity and your spin, and they're going to affect the way that you hit those pins ultimately. Like, we've got to be very aware of how we're allowing things to just push us to and fro as we're on our journey that God has set before us. So please, please tap into, recognize, and get to know the person that God has made you to be. Pursue that person, let that person out, be that person, step into that person, and chase after what God has for you. Please, for the sake of all of us. And don't let these other people get in your head, you know? The biggest lie, I think, ultimately is that we're just lying to ourselves in this. And we touched on this a little bit earlier in the episode, you know, like we can judge ourselves so much. And I think ultimately you're not giving yourself permission to just be you. You've got it in your mind of who you're supposed to be, who the voices around you have told you to be, who the world has told you to be, that you have forgotten who your creator is and that he knows what he's doing. And you have forgotten that what he made you and how he made you and who he made you to be is beautiful. It is a masterpiece. He tells us in scripture that you are his handiwork. You are his craftsmanship. You are his masterpiece. He delights in you. So please step into that person. Give yourself permission to be that person day in and day out and run after what you're supposed to be running after. There's way too many voices that you've allowed to come into your life and cloud your vision and cloud your judgment and cloud your decision making. Clear those out. Get one-on-one with God and be like, hey, who am I and where are we going? And show me how to do that. I think that is ultimately one of the biggest lies, is that we have told ourselves that whoever God has for us, whoever God made us to be, is not enough based on what the world says. Because we're not them, because we don't do that, because we don't act like that, because we don't have this community, because we don't have that level of success, because we don't live there. We've told ourselves that that is not good enough. That what God has made, what God has planted, what God has put within us is not good enough for us. And it's based on a lie of what the world thinks. So please remove that narrative from your mind and get serious about who you are. The more you step into who you are, the less you're going to hear the criticism, the less you're going to hear you may still hear it, but the less you're going to take note of it. The less that you're going to feel like it matters, you know, and you'll be free. You'll be free to just do what God has called you to do. That's abundant life if you want to get down to the nitty gritty. So how do we fix this? How do we fix this lie when it pops into our mind? When that train comes into the station and tells you everybody's judging you, you look so dumb, they think differently of you. What do we do when that lie comes in? Well, we have to ask ourselves, did this come from a personal experience, maybe a past failure that we haven't dealt with, that we haven't chosen to learn from? Or is this coming from a real legitimate place that's trying to help me move forward? Like, is this God using somebody to speak to me? Is this God speaking to me through this situation? Like, we have to think, like, where is this thought coming from in the first place? And is it going to push me further toward what I'm supposed to be doing on this earth, or is it going to drag me further away from it? Ask where the commentary is coming from as well. Is it coming from God? Is it coming from people that are reputable, people that are in your close circle, people that care about you, people that are also walking with God and hear from God, people that pray for you on a regular basis, people that are invested in you spiritually just as much as they're invested in you emotionally and relationally and in any other way that they can be? Or is this just some stranger on the internet? Or is this just a feeling that you got based on what you saw on social media, even though it wasn't a direct criticism of you, it was a comparison that you came up with and now you're second guessing yourself? I would also encourage you to remember who called you to the thing that you're doing in the first place, and in whom you have your worth. God made you. He made you fearfully and wonderfully. He knew you before you were even in your mother's womb. He stitched you together in your mother's womb. That is the voice that you should be listening to more than any other voice. But also be very careful of where you're placing your worth. You know, your worth is found in Christ. It's not found in the things you do, the people around you. Your worth is not found in anything but God. And God says you are enough right here, right now. That he was willing to send his son to die for you, for crying out loud. You don't have to clean yourself up. You don't have to change all these things. You don't have to get your life together before you find your worth in Christ. He sees that worth in you right here and right now. So remember that. When you feel like you're chasing after what God has for you, remember that your worth only comes from him. And the closer you walk with him and the more you listen for his voice, the more you're going to chase after and be on this path of what he has for you, this purpose, this calling, whatever you want to call it. And the less you're going to care about what anybody else says or thinks or questions. Who is it? Nehemiah in the Bible, rebuilding the temple. Like God told him, you're going to rebuild the temple. And there's I'm going to butcher it and paraphrase it. I'm so sorry. Go read it. I can't even tell you what book it's in, but Nehemiah rebuilding the temple. And I have this vision of him because it talks about him being up on the wall, rebuilding. And there's these people that are telling him, like they're criticizing him. They're questioning him. They're saying, come down and talk to us about this. Come down. Like, why are we doing this? What is this? Like, you think you're going to rebuild this temple? And he says, I can't come down now because I'm doing a great work. Again, I'm paraphrasing. Please don't quote that. Don't be putting that on social media. Like, go read it. But it's like, we need to be so focused on the work that we're doing for God, so focused on what he has asked us to do, so focused on pursuing him, who he is, that it does not matter the chatter around us. We can't come down to that level. We can't come down to the negative comments. We can't come down to the criticism of others. We can't come down to that physically, but also emotionally and mentally, because we are about our Father's business. We are doing a great work. We're too busy chasing after what God has for us that we don't even have time for the commentary. We don't even have time for that mess. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but like that's how I want to live life. I want to be so busy with what God has for me, with the things that he has set before me, the tasks, but also the things that he's blessed me with that I am supposed to be stewarding, my family, my job, where we live, my dog, that kind of stuff. Like he's given me these good gifts. Like, and I do believe that stewarding those things well is a part of our purpose on this earth. But I want to be so busy about doing those things that I don't have time for this childishness. I don't have time for this bitterness, this resentment, whether it's coming from other people or whether it's stirring up within me based on me comparing myself to other people. Again, we can't judge ourselves and we can't allow others to judge us either. We've got to be focused on what actually matters. So this week, I really want you to analyze places where you're holding yourself back simply because it might be weird for so-and-so. This might make this person a little uncomfortable. Or, ooh, I've never done that before, and I feel like if I make this move, it's not going to make sense to this person. They're going to be a little confused if I course correct now, or if I pivot, or if I make a change in my life. Again, who cares? As long as you're doing what God is asking you to do, it really doesn't matter what other people are thinking or saying. I also want to encourage you to do something that scares you. It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. It can even just be something that is new and different, like trying a new coffee. Or I've been doing this at restaurants lately. I took my mother-in-law out to lunch the other day, and I didn't order what I would normally order at this restaurant. I'd been to it before. I decided to switch it up, I knew it was going to be good food regardless, and it wasn't like I was trying a new exotic dish or anything like that, but I just switched it up a little bit and tried something different, Not that was a scary thing, but it was just different and out of the norm. So I want to encourage you to find some things that you can do that are different and new, give a little novelty to your life. And then try to find something that does scare you and just do it. Maybe you've seen a video on social media that you think is funny or a trend, and you're like, oh, that would be fun. I want to do that. But you're worried that your video is not going to be good. You're worried that the lighting isn't going to be good. You're going to be worried about, I don't have this pretty house to film in, or, I don't know. It may not land. It may not get any likes, but like you would get some joy out of it. Just go do it. Like, please, just do it. Send it to me, tag me in it. I'll like it. I'll comment. I'll give you a woohoo, I'll give you support. And that's what's beautiful about this is like, you can be a source of encouragement for other people, because just like you, there are other people that struggle with feeling like people are judging them. There are other people that struggle with stepping out and pursuing what they believe God has called them to do because of negative chatter and negative comments. You could be a source of light for them. You could be a source of inspiration for them, And how great would that be if you also stepped out and what that feels like? And it's like you can reach back and be like, "Hey, I was where you were at, but now I'm here and I feel so good. So come on, I'll help you. I'll help you. Take my hand. I'll help you. I'll lead you." I think that's just such a beautiful thing. And yeah, and I'm not telling you to like blindly support people, if they're like not doing what they should be doing. But yeah, just encouraging one another and cheering one another on as we pursue what God has called us to do. And yeah, so this week, just find something. It can be a little thing that just gets you out of your comfort zone, or it can be a big thing that, really pushes you out of your comfort zone. But just give it a try, I think that will help you get over this notion of, oh my gosh, I'm going to look so stupid. I think you're going to realize like not that many people care. Oh, that sounds bad. It sounds like nobody cares what you're doing, but like, honestly. And even if people are negative about it, just let it just brush your shoulders off. Like, just let it go. We're going to dive into another lie next week that I feel like we allow to just consume us and hold us back from what God has for us. But thank you for being here this week, and I'll see you next week.